everybody knows him, and he is right now the head of the Vedanta Society of New York, and travels all over preaching the Vedanta principles. His main speciality, especially these days, I have found, is that to refute the arguments of the atheists in the light of Vedanta and establishing the truths of Vedanta that are all inclusive and acceptable to all different faiths, and which can actually refute the arguments of the atheists, scientific atheists. So today he has chosen to speak about the non-dual experiences of Sri Ramakrishna. So I hand over it to him. You have to put it in your ear.
Clip it here?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Om Sthavakaya Dharmasya Sarva Dharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Te. Revered Swami Yogatmanji Maharaj, Adi Maharaj, where is he? Oh, there he is. And dear friends, it's lovely to be back here on this campus. I was here last year in a similar gathering, and I was seized with the terrible suspicion that I may have chosen the same subject all over again. The non-dual teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. I can't quite remember what is it that I spoke about here. But in one sense it's alright, because I always say the same thing.
Yeah.
Maharaj was saying at least the topic should be, the title of the talk should be different, even if the contents are the same. So, Sri Ramakrishna, if you see the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna in the Kathamrita, which has been translated as the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the bulk of the teachings are discussions on devotion, on bhakti. There are a number of teachings on the path of non-dualism, jnana there, but bulk of it seems to be, the thrust seems to be on bhakti. The subject for this morning I have drawn from a rather unique book. This is, it's always in my pocket. It's Sri Ramakrishna Upadesh. It's a Bengali book, and in English it's been translated as The Words of the Master. And it was compiled by Swami Brahmananda. So Swami Brahmananda was one of the chief disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna considered him his spiritual son, Manasaputra, spiritual son. Vivekananda is well known as the person who spread the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna Vedanta across the world, especially here in the United States. But Swami Brahmananda was the first president of our order. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Rakhale Rajbuddhi. Rakhal was the name of Swami Brahmananda. And Rajbuddhi means he has the intellect, the insight of a king. That's why later Swami Vivekananda wanted Swami Brahmananda to become the first president of this order, the Ramakrishna order. And in our order, Swami Vivekananda is known as Swamiji, and Swami Brahmananda is known as Raja Maharaj. Maharaj, but also Raja. Now, he was in many ways, his personality was diametrically opposite to that of Swami Vivekananda. He was not given to much preaching, lecturing, writing books. He was very silent and indrawn. But he was a spiritual dynamo in the words of Swami Vivekananda. But he did write one book, and that's this book. And this is a compilation of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. So it is very valuable that way. The teachings of Sri Ramakrishna compiled and chosen, selected by someone like Swami Brahmananda, the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna. Chosen, edited and arranged by Swami Brahmananda. And I always say it was proofread by Sri Ramakrishna himself, because one night when Swami Brahmananda was in Banaras, in Kashi, late at night he used to work on this book. And he had the vision of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna came and said, I didn't say that, I didn't say it that way, I said it this way. So I said, it has been proofread by Sri Ramakrishna himself. The reason I value it so much is once I read Swami Ashokananda saying that this is a spiritual classic. One day humanity will carry it around in their pockets. So after that I've been carrying it around in my pocket. I don't know how much I read it, but I carry it around. Wherever I go, it's maybe not always literally in my pocket, but I always have a copy of it. Now, the interesting thing is, Sri Ramakrishna, if you see his teachings in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, it's mostly devotional. Swami Brahmananda, if you see the conversations of Swami Brahmananda which have been recorded, written down and published, also pretty devotional, his emphasis especially on repetition of the mantra. There are teachings, Advaitic teachings, but here and there. But in this book, at the very beginning, he has arranged a series of teachings which are non-dualistic, taken from Sri Ramakrishna at the very beginning of the book. So these are the teachings I am going to reflect upon in this morning session. How much time do we have for that?
1 hour.
1 hour. Alright. There's no clock around, good. Point it out to me then.
Yeah, it is. I am wearing one though.
Swami Ashokanji said, one day humanity will carry it around in their pockets. It's going to be a spiritual classic. So I do carry it around. And in this session, I'll reflect upon the first few teachings here. And I've got the Bengali original. It's nice to hear the sound of the original Bengali. It's also useful for me to be able to explicate upon it. So I'm going to read out the Bengali original, give a rough translation, like a free translation of that, and talk about it a little bit. Then do we have a little Q&A after that? If anybody wants to ask?
Yes.
Alright, let's save time for Q&A at the end.
That can go a little beyond 1 hour also.
Alright. So, the Sri Ramakrishna Upadesh, which literally means the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, is translated as the sayings of the words of the Master. So let me read out. Point number 1. It's arranged in points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. So point number 1. মানুষ আপনাকে চিনতে পারলে ভগবানকে চিনতে পারে. If a human being knows who he or she is, what he or she is, what we are, you will realize God. When you know who you are, you realize God. This is so profound. This is literally a Mahavakya. In Advaita Vedanta, all the Advaitic teachings can be summed up in one sentence. When you sum up the entire teachings of Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta in one sentence, it's called a Mahavakya or a great sentence. What are these great sentences? Most famously, that you are, Tat Tvamasi, you are that. Or I am Brahman. Or this very self is Brahman. Or our consciousness is Brahman. Tat Tvamasi, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. I am Atma Brahma, this very self is Brahman. Prajnanam Brahma, our consciousness itself is Brahman, when truly understood to be what it is. And here Sri Ramakrishna is saying, if the human being knows if we know what we are, we find God. The identity of Brahman and Jiva is a Mahavakya. Brahman, the ultimate reality, us, the sentient being, when we realize that we are one and the same reality, that is called Mahavakya. And this, I think, is a Mahavakya. Yes, identity of the Jiva and Brahman. But what does it mean? How do we realize ourselves? How do we know ourselves? He says, if you know yourself, you know God. You know God. I remember the statement of a great Christian mystic, Meister Eckhart, who says, the ground of my soul and the ground of God are one and the same ground. That means the reality of who we are and the reality of what God is the same reality. They're exactly the same thing. But how do we know who we are? What's the process? What's the process? There are many spiritual practices. Which spiritual practice will show us who we are? And look at the practice that Sri Ramakrishna talks about. আমি কে ভালো বিচার করলে দেখতে পাওয়া যায় আমি বলে কোনো জিনিস নাই. He says, what is the method? So when you inquire, who am I? What am I? Look at the emphasis, inquire. He did not say when you meditate on who am I. He did not say when you worship God. He did not even say when you perform rituals or do some good to other people. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga. No. He says when you inquire, bhalo kore, when we inquire well into who am I, what will you find? You'll find out who we are. He says no. When you inquire well into who am I, you will find there is no such thing as the I. Ami ke ko bole kono jinish nahi. This does not sound Advaitic, it sounds Buddhistic. When you inquire into the self, it falls apart. You begin to see that it's a construct. There's no such thing as this self, which we think about as I. There's nothing corresponding to it. Corresponding to that means, see, a word has something corresponding to it. When I say book, the object corresponding to the word book is this. Book is not a thing, book is a word. I'm reminded of the philosopher Wittgenstein in his class in Cambridge University. He suddenly picked up a piece of chalk and he said, "What is this?" And a student said, "Chalk?" He said, "Chalk is a word." He threw it at the student. I hope it didn't hit him. And he said, "Is that a word?" So the object, what is the object referred to by the word? What is the object referred to by the word book? This object. What is that which is referred to by the word I? And we would say, this is who I am. So Ramakrishna says, there's nothing. If you inquire, you won't find anything. What is the method of inquiry? This intrigues us, we are curious. So, what is the method? How can we inquire and find out that I corresponds to nothing? And he starts off. Hat, pa, rakto, mangsho, ittadi, er konta ami. যেমন পেঁয়াজের খোসা ছাড়াতে ছাড়াতে কেবল খোসাই বেরোয়, স্বাদ কিছু থাকে না, সেই রূপ বিচার করলে আমি বলে কিছুই পাই নাই। So he says, when you inquire, what do you find? Hand and feet and blood and flesh. Which one of these is I? So I remember this doctor once, he wrote to me saying that I have been examining scans of the human body for 3 decades or 2 decades now. It just now struck me that which one is I in this physical, this is a biological machine. It's a thing, it's an object. Hands and feet and organs and tissues and blood and flesh, all of that, it's an object, it's a thing. Just like this thing is a thing. This piece of cloth, it's a thing. This body, it's a thing. It's a biological thing, it's a living machine. Where is I in this? I, the conscious being. Where am I in this scans of the body which I've been examining for years and years? It was here an epiphany. I am not here. This biological machine and I, the conscious being, we cannot be identical. I have something to do with it, but I am not it. Upanishad says, so the body, which it calls annamaya atma, the material body, the food body, I am not that. Then what am I? I still do exist. I am here somewhere. If I am not the body, but what do I feel? I am here somewhere in there, I am there. So the Upanishad says, Taittiriya Upanishad says, alright, inquire inwards, anyoantaratma. What do you find? Subtler than the body, interior to the body. Interior doesn't mean physically. The doctor saw physically, if you see interior to the body, what will you find? More body. The more gruesome aspects of the body. What do you find? Interior means in what sense? Interior in our own experience of ourselves. How do we experience ourselves? Body. Then, more interior, subtle. Take a look. The breath. So the Upanishad says, don't take a look at the breath. The breath is just the tip of an iceberg. The whole iceberg is called Prana. That which keeps the body alive, makes it a living body. The vital forces. Am I that? But also, that is also a thing. Can you objectify the prana? Can you objectify the vital forces? Objectify means, can you experience it as an object? Certainly. Your entire mindfulness meditation depends on it. You better be able to objectify. What do they tell you in mindfulness meditation? Relax and observe the in-breath. Observe the out-breath. If you can observe the in-breath and the out-breath, then the in-breath and the out-breath is an object, is something that you can be aware of. Just as the prana is this in-breath and out-breath is an object, yogis can observe the more subtler workings of the prana in the body. It's an object. It changes. There is in-breath, there is out-breath. The prana is, hunger and thirst, prana. Disease, it's prana. We think the body has disease, but it's just a manifestation of a problem in the prana. That's why holistic systems of medicine, especially Ayurveda, they treat the prana. They don't actually go to try to treat the body directly. If you can solve the problem at the level of the prana, the idea is the problem at the level of the body will be solved. I heard somewhere that Ayurveda even says the root of the problem is not even in the prana. It goes further down. We say Vijnana dosha. In our intellect, in our understanding, there is some fault in our understanding of life. That is reflected in anxieties, tensions, problems in the mind. That is reflected in disturbances in the prana. That finally manifests as disease in the body. It goes so deep. So, prana is an object. It changes continuously. So what? I am the consciousness which is aware of the prana as an object. I am the same consciousness which is aware of the changing of the prana. What I mean by this is, notice the simple fact. When I am hungry, I am aware that I am hungry. When I eat and I feel satiated, I feel full. I am aware that I am full, I feel satiated. The prana changed from hunger to satiating. And I am the same one who experienced hunger, I am the same one who experienced being full. Am I different? Was a different person hungry and a different person is full? No, I am the same one. So the changing prana, I am aware of the changing prana. I am the same one. Changing and unchanging cannot be the same thing. Something is changing. I am here. If I and the changing thing become the same thing, then either I will change or that changing thing will just stop changing. It's as simple as somebody is running around. If you catch hold of that running person, either you will be dragged along or that running person will stop. Changing and unchanging cannot be the same thing. If I feel I am the unchanging self and the prana is changing, the self cannot be prana. That's a simple logic. Upanishad says, if the prana is not the self, then look inwards. What am I? Annuhantaratma manomaya. Am I the mind? We are on the same track as Ramakrishna started. Hand, feet, flesh, blood. Which one am I? We have found we are not the hand, feet, flesh, blood, it's a thing. We have found we are not the inner experience of prana, which is also a thing and changing. We now look at the mind. Why do we look at the mind? We're investigating deeper. We say, I am here, I am there. What is deeper than what is more interior, more inward in our experience than the prana? The mind. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories. Am I the mind? Is the mind a thing? It's a thing, not a usual kind of thing, not like this table or this cloth or the book, but it's a thing, because anything that you're aware of is a thing. Can you be aware of the workings of the mind? Yes, it's called introspection. When I look inwards, I'm aware of a procession of thoughts, I'm aware of a procession of feelings, emotions. So it's a thing. The mind is a thing. I am the one. So I'm not a thing. I'm that to which things appear. Is the mind changing? And you say, oh boy, does it change. How fast. In one day, from the morning till now, how many times happy, how many times morose, how many times excited, how many times bored, how many times alert, how many times sleepy. Same mind. Change so fast throughout the day. I am unchanging. Swami, why do you keep saying that I am unchanging? Look at your own experience. When the mind was sleepy, whose mind was it? Who experienced the sleepy mind? I did. When the mind changed and became alert, who is experiencing the alert mind? I am. Mind changed. I experienced the sleepy mind. I am experiencing the alert mind. Have I changed? It's a curious way of thinking, but just think in that way. You will say, no, I am the same person. In that case, changing and unchanging. Mind is changing continuously and very fast. I am the unchanging self. I am not changing. Therefore, I cannot be the mind. Not only that, I am aware of the mind. The mind is not aware of me. It's pretty subtle. Just think about it this way. We normally think of the mind as aware. What is aware? The mind is aware. But just try this small experiment right now. Think a thought. Let me suggest a thought. If nothing comes to mind. The mind is very mischievous. When you tell the mind, quieten down, don't think, calm, full of thoughts. You say, now Swami is telling you to think. Mind, oh my mind, think a thought. Blank. Mind is, what will I think? So let me suggest a thought. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Think 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when you're thinking, right now if you're thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, are you aware of the 1, 2, 3, 4? So yeah, I can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, I can hear it in my mind, it's like talking to myself. Is the 1, 2, 3, 4 aware of you? Is the 1, 2, 3, 4 saying to you, good, you're thinking me again, you haven't thought about me for a long time? No. 1, 2, 3, 4 is just like mental talk. It is not aware of itself. It is not aware of other thoughts. It is certainly not aware of you. You are aware of it. You are aware of other thoughts. So the mind is not aware. You are aware of the mind. Why does the mind feel aware though? It borrows awareness from you. Like a surface reflecting light. It's non-luminous surface, reflects light. If I can see behind you, the tables behind you are blazing with light. But are the tables luminous? Yeah, you can take a look if you want to see. What a nice phenomenon. No, but the tables are not luminous. They are reflecting sunlight. Just like that, the mind thoughts shining in you the awareness. That's why mind seems to be aware. I am aware, mind is not aware. I am unchanging, mind is changing. I am the subject, the mind is an object to me. Therefore, I am not the mind. Because subject and object are not the same. Changing and unchanging are not the same. Aware and not aware are not the same. Therefore, I am not the mind. And the Upanishad says, Anyoantaratma Vijnanamaya. Take a look inside. The self is the intellect. Proposed. Is the intellect the self? What is the intellect? The faculty we are using right now to try to understand. Whenever we try to understand anything, we use the intellect. Is that a self? But is that an object? Yes, that's also an object. We can experience the workings of our intellect. I get it. That's intellect. I don't get it. What are you talking about? That's intellect. It's an object. Does it change? Yes, it changes from not understanding to understanding. And from understanding to confusion again. So that's the intellect. Is it aware? No, you are aware of it. Intellect is not aware. When you say 2 plus 2, 4, that my intellect tells me, yes, that's correct. That's understanding. But you are aware of it. I am aware of it. That is not aware of me. Self is aware of 2 plus 2, 4. 2 plus 2, 4 is not aware of the self. Therefore, you are not the intellect either. And there is something called the causal state, the causal sheath, Anandamaya Kosha. We will not go there. Oh, that reminds me of a joke. I can't resist this because it's the Hillel Center. And so we had a rabbi come and speak last weekend in Sunday from Rabbi Alon Goshen Gottstein from Jerusalem. He came and spoke at the Vedanta Society. So I couldn't resist trying out this joke on him. Rabbi, we have this analysis which shows us the Pancha Kosha Viveka, the 5 levels of the human personality. The Atman, the self, is not kosher. It's not the 5 koshas, not kosher.
Not kosher.
Not kosher. Not kosher. Pancha Kosha. He didn't get it, of course.
Oh, he didn't get it?
No, I mean, I have to explain.
Explain it, yeah.
Although, ultimately, the Atman will be kosher. Will be kosher. Because what you call the 5 koshas and the external world, universe, everything is the Atman, ultimately. But now this process of what Sri Ramakrishna is saying, who am I? This process of inquiry is going on. So I am not the Anandamaya kosha also. So we found the Atman which is not kosher. which is
not kosher, but it makes everything kosher.
Yes, it makes everything kosher. Pancha kosha vilakshana atma. The Atman which is distinct from the 5 koshas. So we find, so where is the Atman? It's not the body, it's not the prana, which is not the mind, it's not the intellect, it's not even the causal sheath of Anandamaya beyond the intellect. Basically the blankness. If you try to dim, blank out body, prana, mind, intellect, you will find nothing, blank. That blank is also not the Atman, that's also an object. Then where is the Atman? Where is the Atman? Atman means the self. I was trying to find out who am I, and this inquiry reveals what? Nothing. Nothing. And yet we do exist. Nobody denies their own existence. This is very interesting. See, the usual way of teaching Vedanta will tell you that it's not the body, not the vital sheet, not the mind, not the intellect, not the causal sheet. You are the witness of all of it. I think the traditional way of teaching this spoils the whole thing. If you go to the Upanishad does not do that. Upanishad is very subtle. Upanishad will take you step by step. It will not even use the word kosha. It says self, annamaya atma, pranamaya atma, manomaya atma. You feel the mind is self. You are right, mind is self. And then do the analysis, you will find mind is not self. It can't be. Intellect is the self. Yes, vijnanamaya atma. Intellect is the self. Then you do the analysis, you can't find that intellect cannot be the self. And then the anandamaya, that cannot be the self. And then silence. Upanishad keeps quiet, doesn't say anything. It promised to show you the self. And after this inquiry, step by step by step, it comes to what Sri Ramakrishna says. You can't find the self. And then, nothing. You find out the answer. Then the student is confused. Self does not exist. Asad Brahma iti chet. Upanishad says, Taittiriya Upanishad. Immediately after Panchakosha Viveka, instead of arriving at the self, Upanishad just leaves it to the student. The student asks, so the self doesn't exist. Brahman doesn't exist. Atman doesn't exist. Asad Brahma iti chet. Suppose I say Brahman does not exist. Asanneva sabhavati. Then you would not exist. You are the self. There's one thing that you are convinced of. Yesterday we were saying Descartes in his investigations. One thing he could not deny, cogito ergo sum. A few days back, professor at Stony Brook told me the same thing in the original French. Somebody told me. I didn't know the original French, anyway, I don't remember it now. Latin, cogito ergo sum, that I think therefore I am. You cannot deny the self. If you try to deny the self, that very statement of denial proves the self. It's the self which is required to deny the self also. I do exist, but what am I? Can't find it. Why not? Let's see. Sri Ramakrishna says, as you peel an onion, যেমন পেঁয়াজের খোসা ছড়াতে ছড়াতে কেবল খোসাই বেরোয়, only the peel, the skin comes out, and tears also come out. সারা কিছু থাকে না, there is no essence. সেইরূপ বিচার করলে আমি বলে কিছুই পাই না. If you inquire, you will not find anything called I. The word I is there, but nothing corresponding to that word I. You will not find it. If he stopped here, if Sri Ramakrishna had stopped here, he would have been a Shunyavadi, Madhyamakam Buddhist. He would have been His Holiness Dalai Lama. If he stops here. But he doesn't stop here. Then he goes further. Sheshe ja thake tai atma chaitanya. What remains, the remainder, what remains after complete and thorough denial is the Atman. What do you mean, what remains? Didn't you just say nothing remains, you didn't find anything? Yes. The secret is this. You deny everything that is possible to deny. There is something that is not possible to deny. The self. Descartes found that the self is not possible to deny. We say, yeah, I understand it's not possible to deny, but the question is, what is that self which is not possible to deny? We have found that it's not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, not the anandamaya. Then what is it? One thing we can say, it is. Another thing we can say, it's aware, consciousness. Because it's aware of all the objects, it's aware of the world, the body, the mind, it's aware. So it is isness awareness. It is and it is aware. Whatever it is. The thing is, why can we not find it? Because you're looking in the wrong direction. You're looking in the wrong direction. This man, he went on a train journey. Indian long train journeys in those days from the north to the south. And he was carrying money. No electronic money in those days. Cash. And he was afraid of pickpockets and thieves. And so he was thinking where to hide the money. And lo and behold, there was a thief who was traveling with that man. And he saw the man take out the money and count it and carefully keep it. And thought, okay, tonight when that guy goes to sleep, I'll steal his money. And late in the night, when he was sure the man was sleeping, he carefully, pulled up the bed sheet of the man in the train and carefully searched his bag, his wallet, so under the bed sheet, under the pillow, nowhere. And he was very careful. If the man woke up, he got puzzled. He sat down. And next day in the morning, it was time to get down, so that he couldn't figure out where is the money. He again found the man counting the money. This was infuriating. So he broke down and confessed to that man, the passenger. The thief confessed to the passenger, said, "Sir, I am a thief and I wanted to steal your money, but I couldn't find it. Here you have got it. Where did you hide it?" And the man smiled and said, "I know you're a thief. I hid it under your pillow." So, Brahman is very clever. He has hidden itself within ourselves as the self, as not an object. We are looking for the self as an object. It's not an object. We can say it's the subject. And you could have said it. You could say, no, you could have said that it's a subject. The moment I say it's subject, it's atman, it's Brahman, it's the self other than the five koshas, what will you do? You'll start searching for it as an object again. We simply cannot get our minds around the concept that there can be something other than an object. Because our minds and senses are all designed to look for objects. Something to see, something to hear, something to smell, something to taste, to touch, something to think about, something to understand, something to imagine, something to speak about. None of it is possible for the self. Because the self is not there, it's there. There means not like this. I remember one day we were doing pranams to revered Swami Ranganathanandaji, who was the 13th president of our order in Belur Math. He was talking about the self. He was sitting like this and he says, "It is very easy, it's right here." Like this he pointed. I was looking at him. Behind him there's a wall. We did not understand what he means by it. And it is the non-object, it is the pure subject always. That's why you can never find it. And thank God you cannot find it. It is that to which everything is found and not found. To everything which is present and absent, everything is to that self which you are. You are it, but it's not an object. He says, therefore when you search for it as an object, you will never find anything. It's like peeling an onion. But it remains as isness, awareness. Upanishads, the Vedanta speaks of it as, Shankaracharya himself says, Nishedhavadi Atma, the limit of negation. You keep on negating, neti, not this, not this, not this, not this. And then you will reach a limit where you cannot apply not. When you keep on saying not this, not the world, not the body, not the mind, not the prana, not the intellect, not even the blankness beyond body, mind and intellect, that's the limit. You cannot negate anymore. Then you come to nothing. So it's nothing, neti, not even that. You negate whatever you know. You know through the senses, you know through science, whatever you know through religion, whatever you know through fiction, whatever you know, you negate it, neti. And then, so it's the unknown. Unknown also, neti, not that. The Kena Upanishad says, Anya devata vidita atho avidita dadhi. Other than, what is the Atman? It is other than the known. Whatever you know, it's other than that. So it's unknown. No, whatever is unknown, it's other than that also. The whole objective universe neatly divides into the known and the unknown for us. So there is something that you know, and there is something that you do not know. Mostly the vast ocean of ignorance around us, what we do not know. But both of them are appearing to whom or to what? To you. So you are other than the known, you are other than the unknown. Neti applies to this. So, he says, শেষে যা থাকে তাই আত্মা চৈতন্য আমার আমিত্ব দূর হলে ভগবান দেখা দেন. Another cryptic statement. When the I-ness of the I, the selfness of the self is lost, then God is realized or God reveals himself. I have not yet fathomed the full meaning of this statement. I think if you fathom the full meaning of this statement, you will become enlightened. You will see for yourself. What is meant by when the selfness of the self is lost? What is meant by when the I-ness of the I is lost? My understanding is, when you realize the difference between the self and ego, then you will realize the truth. Sakshi. Ahankara Sakshi. The Sakshi, the witness of the ego, right now in our experience. Just as the world is an object for experience, even I, the self which I am feeling right now, I am the person, this is also an object because I experience it. What is experiencing? The I. Then, what will happen? How do you lose the selfness of the self? Sri Ramakrishna next says, this is all point 1. The highest Advaita has been taught here. Now, this I, there are 2 kinds. He says, Duirokam ami ache, ekta paka ami ar ekta kacha. The I is of 2 kinds. One is the unripe, one is the ripe. What is the ripe and unripe? Amar badi, amar ghor, amar chele, egulo kacha ami. My house, my room, my child, these are the unripe I. Basically the ego. The usual way we understand ourselves. I am this person and this is my life. And the whole thing he calls unripe I. Then what is the ripe I? What is what he seems to privilege or prefer? Paka ami hocche, amita dash, amita shantan, ar ami shei nitto mukto gyan sharup. He says, the right I is, I am the servant of the Lord is my master, I am the servant. That I is fine, that ego. I am the child, the Lord is my father or mother. That was Sri Ramakrishna's own attitude. I am the child, the Lord is my mother, Ma Kali. Or, I am pure consciousness, eternal, ever-free consciousness. We think that is the self, that's the teaching of Advaita Vedanta. Sri Ramakrishna says even that is the ego, but that's the ripe ego. There's no harm in that. So, I am pure consciousness. Shankaracharya sings, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. He says that's the ripe ego. That's the ego of the jnani. And no harm there. That leads to liberation. But the other I, which is tied up with the body, mind and with samsara, that leads to bondage. One little point here. Usually, such points in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Kathamrita, M will put the emphasis on, I am the child and the Lord is my mother. Or I am the servant, the Lord is my master. The other part he occludes usually. I think not deliberately, he's a bhakta at heart. M. Devotee at heart. So he gives the devotional option. Sometimes I've seen, I think in the Gospel it's there. This I am pure consciousness, that part he has left out. But here Swami Brahmananda brings it out. The full teaching is either as a devotee I or as a jnani I. Both I are right I. One final point and I'll stop. Point number 3. এক ব্যক্তি তাকে বলেছিলেন আমার এক কথায় জ্ঞান হয় এই মতো উপদেশ দিন. A certain individual asked Sri Ramakrishna, give me one instruction by which I will become enlightened. Wise person, otherwise give me instruction also I'll become enlightened. Whole 1000-page Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is there. One sentence, you are limited to one sentence only. Give me one instruction so that I can be enlightened. Then he bollen, Sri Ramakrishna said, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya, eiti dharana kar. Brahman is real, the world is false, is an appearance. Contemplate this, realize this, assimilate this. Dharana karo means all of these. To assimilate this. The Brahman alone is real, the world is an appearance. That's enough to take you to liberation. This is the core of Advaitic teachings. Advaita can be put in this one sentence. Brahman is real, the world is an appearance, and you are Brahman. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. So this deals with the question, what is this word? Yes, I have now realized I am the non-objective, pure subject, consciousness, self, isness, awareness, and I shall continue as Paka Ami. Not the Bengali Pakami. The Paka Ami. Split it up. Right ego and I am pure consciousness or I am the devotee of the Lord. Finished. But what is this word? He says, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. The world is an appearance of Brahman. It's nothing other than Brahman. There are not two things. What you have realized as pure consciousness and one world. No. What you have realized as pure consciousness in this world is an appearance of that only. That pure consciousness alone is pervading this entire world. It's not a separate entity. Contemplate this. And then he says, Iha boliya chup koriya rohile. Having said this, Sri Ramakrishna fell silent, kept quiet. Swami Brahmananda adds that. It's unnecessary to add that, but he has added it to emphasize there's nothing more to be said. There's nothing more to be said. In the words of the master, the translation is disastrous. You know what the translation is in the English? In the English translation is, Sri Ramakrishna said, Brahman is real, the world is false. Contemplate this or realize this and keep quiet. Keep quiet is not an instruction to that man. Keep quiet. He kept quiet. Sri Ramakrishna fell silent. So this is something that Swami Brahmananda is adding here. Ya baliya chup kuriya rohilen. There it's taken as one continuous instruction. Sri Ramakrishna said, assimilate this and keep quiet. So this is some of the Advaitic instructions, teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. Shall we have a little bit of Q&A?
Yeah, but we have some more time.
I can do one more instruction.
Yeah, you can give one more instruction.
Yes, one more Advaitic instruction.
Yes, yes.
Let me just read a couple of them. 4 and 5. Instructions 4 and 5. শরীর থাকতে আমার আমিত্ব একেবারে যায় না, একটু না একটু থাকেই. As long as the body remains. So after you realized it, I am pure consciousness. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. It's clear to you now, unshakable. Then what will happen? Nothing, it will continue like this. And the ego also will come back. People misunderstand. Destruction of the ego will be gone when you become enlightened. No. After enlightenment, is the body there or not? Yes. Are that person's kidney and heart and liver functioning or not? Yes. Is the person's memory functioning or not? Yes. After enlightenment, does the person become amnesiac? No, hopefully not. All the senses are functioning, all the organs are functioning, intellect is functioning, memory is functioning. Why ego will not function? Ego is a function of the mind. Just that the enlightened person does not identify with the ego anymore. See the language of the enlightened person. Often an enlightened person, Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, Masharada, do they not use the word ami sometimes? I? Yes, sometimes. Sri Ramakrishna would say both, I or this. So the ego also functions. It comes back. As long as the body is there, all the bodily and mental functions will continue. Then, so, he says, যেমন নারকেলের গাছের বাল তো খসে যায় কিন্তু দাঁড় থেকে যায়. So the bark falls off, the leaves, they fall off, but they leave a mark there. Another nice example he uses elsewhere is burn a rope. It still looks like a burnt rope, but it can't tie anybody. If you blow on it, it will fly away as ashes. Similarly, the ego remains as an outline, it won't bind you anymore.
It will be with any tree, in the fall, when the leaves fall, then there is a mark where from it fell off. So it is like that, there is no leaf there anymore, but then the mark is there. So that ego is like that.
It will just remain as an appearance. It will be functional, but it will not bind. কিন্তু এই সামান্য আমিত্ব মুক্ত পুরুষকে আবদ্ধ করতে পারে না. This insignificant I-ness cannot bind the enlightened person. Remember, he had said at the very beginning, it's very subtly connected. When the I-ness disappears, you will realize God. But now he says the I-ness remains. So have you not realized God? You have, but it will just help you to function in the world. Panchadashi, Vidyaranya Swami says the word I is used in 3 senses. One sense by the unenlightened, by ordinary people like us, and in 2 senses by the enlightened person. The one sense for the ordinary unenlightened person is, I am this, body, mind, intellect, I am this. This is very natural. Whatever we may say, we think and behave in this way, that I am this. The enlightened person, however, uses the I in 2 different senses. One is, really, For the enlightened person, I am pure consciousness. I am Brahman or Atman. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. I am of the nature of Shiva. I am pure consciousness, bliss. Secondary sense, I am body mind. I am body mind just as we say. Enlightened person also will say. The difference is we take it as truth. The enlightened person takes it as functional or transactional, just to transact it as. When Sri Ramakrishna says, I will drink water, he is not speaking as Brahman. He is saying, I as Brahman, and through this body mind, I am asking for a glass of water. In that sense. But don't speak like that. I get these emails. I who am pure limitless consciousness, in this particular manifestation in this body as Mr. Mishra, I am writing to you. I just say that I am Mr. Mishra. Don't go through that. So, it will not bind an enlightened person. Now, the next one is spiritual practices. Fifth point and last point. Naita, Totapuri, the naked one. So, see, the tradition is one should not take the name of the Guru. So, Sri Ramakrishna found a way out. His Guru to refer to him. His typical in his way, he said, the naked one. So, Sri Ramakrishna said, this Guru, the naked one, Totapuri. Paramahansa Dev, Totapuriকে Paramahansa Dev জিজ্ঞাসা করেছিলেন. So Sri Ramakrishna asked Totapuri, you are enlightened, you are a knower of Brahman. Why do you still meditate? Daily you would meditate. তোমার যে অবস্থা তাতে রোজ ধ্যান করার আবশ্যক কি? The spiritual state which you have realized, you have attained, is it necessary for you to meditate every day? Totapuri উত্তরে বলেছিলেন, Totapuri said in reply, ঘটি যদি রোজ রোজ না মাজা যায় তাহলে কলঙ্ক পড়ে, নিত্য ধ্যান না করলে চিত্ত অশুদ্ধ হয়. If you do not, so he had a brass water pot. Monks carry a water pot, Kamandalu. But if you brass, if you don't polish it daily, it loses its shine. It becomes it's like spotted. So you have to polish it daily. Similarly, the mind, unless you immerse it in Brahman, you have attained Samadhi. But unless you daily immerse the mind in Brahman, then what will happen is, you're throughout the day, waking and dreaming, you are dealing with samsara. It will leave a coating like that is spotting on the brass pot. You leave a coating on your mind. You know you are Brahman, but it will still affect your mind to some extent. So in order to keep the mind pristine, illumined, you need to center yourself with the reality which you have already realized. One sadhu put it nicely in Uttarakhand. He said, कम से कम एक बार दिन में देख लो महात्मा जी वस्तु कैसी है. Once in a day at least, oh Mahatma, oh Bhant, take a look. What is the reality? Center yourself in the reality. This is what Totapuri is saying. But he is not right. Sri Ramakrishna says next. Paramahansa Dev uttore bollen. Sri Ramakrishna said in reply, যদি সোনার ঘটি হয় তাহলে পড়ে না. If the pot is made of gold, then you don't need to polish it every day. What does that mean? I used to think, let me see what Swami Brahmananda explains. অর্থাৎ সচ্চিদানন্দ লাভ করলে আর সাধনের দরকার নেই. Once you attain Satchidananda, you attain enlightenment, you don't need any more practices. You may continue, but you don't need it. The explanation which Totapuri gave still shows one more step. Now, this confused me a little bit. Attainment of Satchidananda, Totapuri has attained it, and Sri Ramakrishna himself attests to this, that the state you have attained, do you need any practice anymore? Totapuri has attained it. So, what is the problem here? I have certain thoughts about it, but one is this idea that the mind has to be kept pure by centering it in Brahman. This also shows a slight division in the understanding of what Brahman is and what the world, body, mind are. In certain sense, he is still carrying that division. Because in Ashtavakra it is said quite dramatically, your only bondage, your last bondage, that is that you want samadhi. So So I'll leave you with that rather disturbing thought. Words of the Master. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna.
Any
All right.
questions?
Questions, yes. Observations, questions, yes.
Here, one question.
Who wanted to ask? Yes, Abhijit and then the gentleman there.
So we are reading in the Kathamrita that Thakur is giving the example like a servant is looking for the master in the dark, he's groping around, and so process of neti, he finds the master. But then he says that's not the final thing. Then he has to form a relationship with the master. So when he able to touch, he says he's Siddha. And then if he's able to form that relationship, then it becomes Siddha or something like that.
Yes.
So
you're right. First is the neti. That process must be carried on as firmly and as in a resolute manner without compromise. And this is in the intellect, you're trying to understand this, and should be reflected in our lives also. When I say neti, I must be able to let go of that. I cannot say intellectually I understand this is not the world, and then say the world is disturbing me or tempting me or whatever. You have to let go, intellectually, emotionally, everything. And then we will find something which we cannot dismiss. You cannot say neti to it. You cannot say not this. It's so clearly, it is that reality. There is no possibility of denying it anymore. Effortlessly, it will be there. That is finding it. The master has been found. However, after this, your life will continue. Your life in the world, it will continue. How do you manifest that realization in this world? One powerful way is to, bring in bhakti after that. You have found the reality, bring in bhakti after that and establish a relationship with the divine. In the world, when my life continues in the world, it will be as Sarvapriyananda. Same body, same mind. I will not walk around like a shining slice of consciousness in this world. No, in this body and mind. Same people, same circumstances. Now, how do I manifest the realization which I've had? So, I form a relationship with the divine. This personality with the divine. And it could be a servant-master relationship. It could be a serene contemplation of the highest truth, Shanta Bhava. It could be a servant and master relationship. The Lord is my master, I am the servant. Sri Ramakrishna said, that is Pakahami.
Exactly. After what he said, then he says about 5 bhavas.
Yes.
Immediately after that comes,
Yes, 5 bhavas. The servant master, friend, Vatsalya, both ways. Lord is my mother or father, or the other way around. I am the mother or the father of the child who is divine child. Yes. The baby Krishna, baby Rama, baby Jesus, and so on. Or the Madhura Bhava, the attitude of the beloved. Multiple bhavas you cultivate towards the divine. That helps you to manifest the divinity in life. That's a fuller way of living, expressing the divinity.
So Swamiji, if Brahman is so elusive, and then how will science ever find it? And when something cannot be found, you look for markers of it that indirectly predict its presence. So just wondering what your thoughts are on that heart problem. It can never be found then.
Brahman is, if you ask an Advaitic, Brahman is not elusive. One sadhu said, Tasadas Bharpur Mahatmaji. It is, the universe is filled to the brim with Brahman. Where is it not? Mundaka Upanishad says, Brahman is in front of you, behind you, above you, using very physical language. Above you, you are surrounded, immersed in Brahman. Just like a pot immersed in water in the ocean, there is water outside, water inside. It was like a spot suspended in space, there is space outside, space inside. So once we get it, where is Brahman? Everywhere, in everything. It's not at all elusive. But to get it, it seems elusive. It's elusive only because it's hidden under our pillow. That's why it seems elusive. We are looking in the wrong place. That's why it seems elusive. And it's like Mullah Nasruddin. Mullah Nasruddin's story is there. He was searching under a lamplight at night And some gentleman came and said, "Sir, can I help you?" "Yes, I lost my keys." "Oh, let me help you." So that man also started searching. After some time, the man got frustrated. "Are you sure you lost it there?" Mullah Nasruddin said, No, I lost it there in that ditch there." "Why are you searching here?" "Well, because there's light here."
Actually, this example was given by Dr. Jayanta Narayikar, that all search of science that we do is like that the thing is lost somewhere else. But then why are we searching here? Because there is light here, that's all.
So, as to your question, what about science? When will science find it? I don't know about that. First of all, the quest should be at the level of philosophy of mind. When we change our philosophy of mind, philosophy of science also, expand our understanding of what is science, then maybe there's a possibility of that science will find it. Otherwise, science is concerned with the objective, with the object. It has to be an object of study. You cannot make it an object of study. And yet, it's not entirely unknown. Shankaracharya says in his Adhyasa Bhashya, introduction to superimposition in the Brahma Sutra, he says, Nacha ekante na vishaya. It's not entirely non-objective. Atma pratyaya vishayatva, aham pratyaya vishayatva, because the sense of I refers to that. It points towards that. You are it, so how can it be elusive? Are you elusive or not? In one sense, I am elusive. See, if you try to objectively understand what the self is, you'll never get it. David Hume, the philosopher, he says, when I look for the self, I do not find it. I find instead a procession of perceptions, memories, judgments, but no self. Why? Because the self is the one which is looking. He is looking at the other man's pillow, it's under his pillow. But it cannot be found as an object. That is true. A marker, in one sense, if we understand Vedanta, then everything in the universe is a marker of that Atman or Brahman. If Atman or Brahman is existence itself, look for the marker of everything exists. If it is consciousness itself, every conscious experience that we have is a marker. Kena Upanishad says, Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam vindate. Where will you find Brahman? In every experience. It's there in every experience. So the thing is, this, as Sri Ramakrishna says, by the process of inquiry, we generate that grasp on what is being said here. Then it becomes undeniable, effortlessly clear.
Many hymns that we chant after meditation every morning, as this what you were telling, that the divine is everywhere. It is above me, below me, on the sides, on the north, on the south, everywhere that divine is present. So it is present, it is not at all elusive. It is elusive as is because we are seeing in the wrong place, so therefore we don't find it. Is ocean elusive? Because we are only looking at the waves, so ocean appears to be elusive. Science only does that, and so it is elusive. Science cannot get it unless it learns to transcend. So,
yes.
We say that Ami is not the it's not
self. Yes.
the self, but we have to whenever we talk to each other or say something, the Ami comes in. Like Ami eta korechi.
Certainly.
Ami eta korechi. Eta amar body. That comes in. You
That
have
comes
to
in.
talk to somebody.
Exactly,
like that.
exactly.
What does that mean?
That means that for transaction you can use, for talking to other people, for living in the world, you have to have a sense of self.
Okay.
And that sense of self is the transactional self, conventional self, what Sri Ramakrishna calls the Paka Ami. So only make sure it is the Paka Ami, not the Kacha Ami, not the unripe ego. When you say Amar body, my house, my family.
Yes.
You mean it in the transactional sense. You know it full well, the whole thing belongs to the Lord,
Okay.
or the whole thing is nothing other than Brahman. You know it full well. Then if you use the transactional ego, no harm will come to you. But if you do not know it, it's in ignorance.
Yeah.
I am this person and these are my trouble. Because one day these things will go away.
Yeah.
One day these very things will give trouble. One Upanishad, it says, there's a discussion on, I think it's Vedanta probably. There's a discussion on what gives happiness. The idea that the self is the source of happiness. Then the opponent says, no, my father, mother, husband, wife, children, wealth, cattle, all of this is the source of happiness. These objects are source. And then the teacher says, Rotsayati iti. These very things, Prana, these very things which are dear to you, stunning statement, these things which are dearest to you, know it for certain, they will make you cry. They will make you cry. Then in Panchadashi, Vidyaranya Swami, he quotes this from the Upanishad, then he goes through a sequence. I think, I will tell it in some talk. Every parent should listen to it. It says, there is no end to the sorrows of parents. Education does not work, or you not getting into Ivy League colleges. He goes through the whole link, the chain. Then finally gets his education done, but then there's sorrow, not getting a job. Finally he gets a job, then there's sorrow, not getting married. Finally he gets married and to the person he wants to. Then there is sorrow, no, not conceiving a child. Finally the child is born, and then there is sorrow that a child is either not physically doing well, or some physical, mental issue is there. No issue is there. All is going well. Then there is a worry about the education of the child. Then there is the worry about the child gets educated and then does not get a job, or gets a job, does not get married. And then it says, all is well, all is going well. And suddenly the child dies before the parents. And then it says, no end to the sorrows of parents.
That's right.
This whole sequence, Vidyaranya Swami says. Everything that makes you smile and gives happiness to you will make you cry one day.
Yes, I mean, there's no end to the problem.
Yes.
Always there's a problem. You have to solve it,
But if you go this from the, if you realize what you truly are, and then move from the unripe ego to the ripe ego, no problem.
He had a question.
Yes.
Actually, I have similar question. Like, if none of the body parts is I, then two questions actually. What happened when I die? Where that I go?
Wait, when I die means when the body dies.
yes.
You don't die, the
You
body
don't
just
die,
dies.
the body dies, not the soul.
When I say I die, when the body... See, any doctor, coroner, by law, policeman, what do they say when they say there is death? It's a bodily death. There's no doubt about it. Does anybody doubt it? No. Now we take one further step. Death of this body is my death. Why do we say that? Nobody has given a satisfactory answer.
No.
Yeah, and then second one, like let's say 2 days from now, 2 years from now, someone is going to be born, and then if say okay, so the body doesn't kind of how it's not correct. So I know there will be life will be born. So how you can connect with that? Where that life is coming actually? I know someone is going to be born. So that is coming from where? And how can I connect?
The idea in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, the common idea is multiple lifetimes. So the physical body dies. The subtle body, it does not die. It goes to another birth and is reborn in another body elsewhere, according to past karma. And you, the atman, you are reflected in it. You feel you are born there. This is how it goes on, lifetime after lifetime. Yes. Oh, yes. Who was raising the hand? Yes.
So what should a parent do?
Come on.
I saw in YouTube somewhere, this lady is saying, suffering, Hindi means traveling.
Suffer karte raho.
He says, He says, she was saying, मैं सफर कर करके यहाँ पर आई हूँ, मुझे सफरिंग का बहुत शौक है. And then she says, may you all suffer. So, no, travel, the only thing that will save you as a parent, especially as a parent, you're very vulnerable to suffering, not the traveling kind. We are all suffering, traveling from lifetime to lifetime. Sansriti, that means samsara means going in through samsara, birth and death. It also means traveling. So the only thing that will save as a parent are the 4 yogas. Selflessness with regard to children. First and foremost, I don't want anything from them. We may say we are selfless, but often parents do have expectations.
Yes.
I don't want anything from them. I just want them to be happy. And if they don't, and they are not happy, that also I shouldn't be unhappy there. So I wish them the best. That comes very naturally to parents. You are their greatest well-wishers, but keep your personal angle out of it. I wish them the best. I will serve them to the best of my ability. The Lord has given these children to me. This is a place where I can give service for years and years and do the best for them, but detached. Next, devotion. My entire love flows towards the Lord and the Lord in the child. What happens is love flows to the child only, my child. I see in our schools in Deoghar, I saw playfield, hundreds of kids playing. Parents come, out of the hundreds of kids, straight away, within a half a second, mine. For us, all the kids are very similar. They are all kids, young boys. But no, this is mine. So the love should flow to the Lord and to the child also. Obviously you will love the child. There's no other way around it. But try to see the Lord in the child.
Yes.
My Krishna, Gopala, or my Devi is in the form of this child. And now I am worshipping the Lord through this child. Then the connection will be between you and the Lord, not between you and that particular child. Then yoga, meditation. At least sometime in the day, stop all connections and retreat, withdraw, turn inwards. Quieten the mind. This vibration of the mind is the cause of suffering. And then finally, jnana, this knowledge that all is Brahman, I am that Brahman. These are the only things that will protect all of us, and especially parents. Parents are very vulnerable.
Yes, that's true.
Children are very mischievous. On purpose or not on purpose, but by nature. By nature.
Can we shout on them?
Yeah, of course you can shout.
That's what I said.
That's your seva. Yes, definitely.
Do we get angry at them?
Yes.
Because anger is not.
Don't beat them. That's not allowed anymore. But you can become angry at them. You can scold them. But as long as it is for their welfare.
Yes, yes.
So there should be no anger, but scolding. Without anger, one should be able to scold, because they are, after all, my beloved children.
How do you do that?
Yes,
I explained, you know.
That holy invitation to Holy Company.
To Holy Company. Nice
monk,
book, yeah.
He came to meet in Belur Math as a youngster, just before he became a monk. And he writes his reminiscences of Swami Premananda. Swami Premananda, Baburam Maharaj was a great draw for a lot of people who became monks. He was very charismatic, sort of radiated holiness. So this young man, he says, I saw Swami Premananda, he was talking sweetly to me. Suddenly a brahmachari, a novice came. Suddenly Premananda's face became red with anger and turned around and started scolding him for some mistake he had made. And I was standing there thinking, oh, Sadhu Raga, the monk has anger also. The moment I thought this, Swami Premananda turned towards me, sweet smile, all anger gone, and started talking to me. As I was perplexed what's going on, suddenly he turned to the brahmachari, face became red, very fair. So when it became red, he started, actually he generated anger. Vivekananda said, it's the fool who cannot get angry. The wise person does not get angry.
It is. With Premananji, that similar another story, he scolded that brahmachari so much and told him, get out, take these 2 pennies, go out, beyond the Ganges. And he was in tears. Then another Swami told him, you know, he gave you 2 pennies. Use 1 penny to go to the other shore of the Ganges, then use another penny to come back. That is why he gave you 2 pages. There are some other questions.
Swamiji,
She had one question.
Yes, I will wait. I'll come to you.
So, we were living very blissfully ignorant a few years ago, and all this didn't come to us at all, and went through our lives, and all of a sudden, boom! And now everything went. Oh my God! I don't fit in anywhere, or whatever. And then kids are rolling their eyes, and they say, "Oh, lecture again." So I hear that all the time. So what happened? Was it God's grace, or was it past karma that something happened?
Spirituality is God's grace or curse? What is it? It is God's grace. It's a great blessing. But the only thing is, it is true. Worldly people have only worldly problems, but spiritual people have both worldly problems and spiritual problems. I have worldly problems. I get upset. I get irritated. I get anxious. And further anxiety. I am spiritual. I shouldn't be anxious, but I am becoming anxious. Spirituality is not working. I shouldn't be irritable, but I become irritable. Spirituality is not. Relax. It's fine.
I know when I do get angry or upset, I'm told, "What do you do there meditating all day?" And this is what it's, So I hear
true.
that.
They are right.
Last Sunday, there was this Kali Puja, and we had the program of Kali songs being sung there, and I was giving some commentary on it. One song was exactly that, referring to what you were saying just now, that the song goes like, Ami Mayer Naam Kar Korbo Nare. Now I am not going to take the name of mother, because when I do, all people around, they keep on hurling criticism at me, and I am now fed up with that. So the idea is that expect that those who are not on this path are going to make satire about you, criticize you, roll their eyes and so forth, you see, make taunting comments that, oh, again going to Vedanta, right? So again, it is like that, yeah. So it is to be expected that it is nothing strange. Now what happens here is very essential, as he said, very necessary something, because you have a problem. That otherwise you had also anxieties, so forth, and now you have spiritual anxieties and worldly anxieties both. But spiritual anxieties become the solution for the worldly anxieties. Yeah, so that is how you have now solution. Earlier you had only unsolvable problems. Now you have this solution for that problem, that when you turn your mind to God, the God appears real. In Yatishwarananda's that meditation and spiritual life, he gives such beautiful stages, of how this occurs, that at the initial stage when somebody practices devotion, the world appears to be real, the God is imaginary. But as the devotion ripens, you appreciate world is there, but God is the controller of it. Then the controller is more important, the world fades from your consciousness, God becomes more and more prominent, and then that alone remains. So one goes through these stages of spiritual development.
So when they roll their eyes and say Vedanta again, what should your response be?
You should smile, Okay. Yeah, it is your opinion. Like that Prasanna's little son. I learned so much from that child, we were denouncing him. Hey, what you say is not right. That movie you say that he never really saw that movie, but that is the best movie in the world. Even as just 7-8-year-old, So that is the best movie in the world. No, it is worst movie in the world. And he would calmly say, that could be your opinion. He never get, so wonderful, he never got agitated. All our, that Abhijit, expert in, pulling all these things. So, myself, who else was there? Shrikant was there probably. So all of us were trying to poke him. He did not get upset at all. That may be your opinion, and he held on to his opinion firmly. What is an opinion? Opinion is something that belongs to you. That is what he said, opinion is limited to you. Facts are for everybody. Opinion is what belongs only to you. So you say that it is your opinion, say smilingly. Don't get upset, Yeah.
Practice that.
Yeah.
So, Swamiji, in experience with all these practices and knowledge, it feels like enlightenment is a process and more of arriving at it rather than a moment's happening. It's like manifesting it. But then what about the body? Mechanically, does the healing of the body happens completely before the body exists in full awareness?
Before the body exists?
In full awareness?
Just talking about Mahasamadhi. Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
so like how the body...
Healing of the body.
Does the healing of the body
Yeah.
happens mechanically? Like...
I'm not sure what you're referring to, but Swami Brahmananda used to say that give yourself to, if you give yourself to the world, the world will destroy your body and mind both. Give yourself to God, even like your body, mind, all will be protected. Even your body will be healthier if you live as a spiritual seeker. However, the focus generally should not be on bodily healing. I know this is a big concern here in this country. It comes from but the original idea is spiritual healing. In Christianity, the original idea is spiritual healing. This bodily healing is sort of downstream, secondary. I'm not sure if this addresses your concern.
Yeah, it's like there's decay of the body that happens,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Which is opposite than healing of the body.
I see. Right. So this is an inevitable process. If you live in a healthy way, a spiritual way, sattvic way, the decay of the body will be arrested to a great extent. But it is inevitable. You cannot stop it. Old age, disease, death will come to everybody. This was the four fundamentals, the sides which Buddha saw. The old person, the sick person, the dead person. These are the problems in samsara. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. Birth, death, old age, disease. Dukkha, doshanudarshanam. It's an insight that these are sources of sorrow. These are the biggies, the big ones. There are many, very small sources of sorrow also. This is the beginning of the spiritual quest. The desire to keep on repairing things in the world, including the body, that can be one project, but then we are using religion and spirituality for a worldly purpose. So there are these two kinds of religion, the lower religion and the higher religion. The lower religion, which is a mass religion, which is religion for improving my life in this world. So I go to church or synagogue or temple and I pray to God that, give me money, give me health, heal my body, make my relationships good, give me a good society and all. None of it is wrong. It's good. We can ask God. We like asking our parents for good things. You can ask. But that's still the lower religion. The higher religion is that my life is meant for God realization. The distinction is this: God for my life or my life for God. If God is for my life, it's like a convenience. I've got washing machine, I've got a dishwasher, I've got Wi-Fi, I've got God also. All of these things are helping me to have a nice life. And most people use it that. Majority of religion in the world is like that. And there's nothing wrong in that. This is called pravritti marga. The karma kanda of the Vedas was mainly meant for that. And if you go around in the world today, Hindu temples or synagogues or churches or mosques, everywhere. Most people are not praying for enlightenment, liberation, moksha, not at all. If you offer it to them also, they'll be scared. But they are praying for something in the world. And we must move a little higher than that, because there's no end to it. You cannot attain immortality in this body here and now. One day these things will come to an end. And these things have come to an end for us many, many times in the past. We have no memory of that. So one must rise above these things.
I'm pretty new to spiritual practice, and one of the things I've kind of noticed is that it's like you're trying to learn to swim, you can read books on it, but you really only get better by practicing swimming, right? So when I read some of the texts, like I've read the English version of Words of the Master, and it's like I read a sentence and I will be lost in thought for a couple hours, or it's complex. So I find it's easier to just practice meditation and kind of float in my head, trying to focus on it. Do you have any recommendations on kind of the balance of like studying versus kind of like doing like the actual, the mantras and meditation and things like that? Do you have any guidance or recommendations?
Yes, Vivekananda is the gold standard for this. Practice is central. He says, an ounce of practice is worth 10 tons of tall talk. So, practice is basically 4 practices. One is selfless service, to whatever extent you can do. So this is a place for selfless service, the Hillel house, for example. So whatever selfless service you can give around you, that's one. Second is devotion to a higher power, which is God, in some form. This is for that, and the church next door is for that. So bhakti. Third is a regular practice of meditation. There are multiple meditation traditions. Whichever tradition suits you, set up, but it should be a regular practice, morning, evening, sit at least twice a day. And finally, study. Because Jnana Yoga is a very deep subject. It begins with study, let's say that much.
So, dear friends, and we are very thankful to Sarvapriyananda ji for giving this very beautiful talk, very deep about how Sri Ramakrishna's non-dualistic experiences, and it is a real non-dualism, and not the theoretical non-dualism, but the practical experience of what really I am. It is a matter of experience. I am everything. It is I am above, I am below, I am that. And it requires disidentification from body. Unless we practice the disidentification from body, we do not have an entry into this truth. So one has to practice that. One important thing that I heard from many of our Swamis, that he had referred to it yesterday also, today also, that Descartes said that I am because I think. And many take that this is true, it is, but it should be put it like, even when I am not thinking, I am.
Yes.
It is, this should not be thought in the way that I am only when I am thinking. It is, I am a precondition even for thinking. So it is thinking. If I am thinking, certainly I am. Therefore I can think. But even if I am not thinking, and unfortunately most of us don't think, but I am still there. Our Swami Asheshananji, he put it in a very humorous way. Mr. Descartes put Descartes before the horse. So now we have come to the end of this discussion, this service, because the time is over. We have to go again, and there again he will have to speak, and then rush to New York that way, just very evening. So now let us say grace and have our lunch. Thank you very much. Thank you, Maharaj. Hey, any question up there?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, I forgot to ask because this is webcast.
It's webcast.
Yeah. Any questions or anything?
No.
Okay, we will do it here. Come on. That need not be given there because they are not taking food with us. Om Brahmanam Brahmave Brahmanam Brahmanam Brahmaivatenaram